Let us help you reach your peak in retirement. It's time for Retirement Elevated with Sean Lee.
Hey, this is Retirement Elevated, the podcast with Sean Lee, managing partner at Elevated Retirement Group. Coming at you here today on the podcast. As always, we appreciate your time as we talk about the worlds of finance, investing, and retirement. Sean, welcome in, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I'm actually on your podcast, so I appreciate the time. Sometimes you do these solos. Sometimes you have me pop in, and it's always cool to talk to you.
Yeah, it'll be a good one today.
Yeah, we got an interesting topic to talk about today. I was going to ask you real fast, though, since my family lives out your way as well. I host through the power of the internet. I don't have to always be there to talk with Sean live. And my family's, I guess, a family out that way. And it's getting cold out there on your neck of the woods, isn't it?
I mean, this morning it's, like I told you a little bit earlier, it's 26 degrees, but this is the fun part of year where the trees are changing, the colors are amazing up in the mountains, and it's just, we can get through some of the cold with the coloring that we have right now.
There you go. Well, nothing wrong with that, that's for sure. I mean, it's always beautiful out there at this time of the year, and I won't make you feel too bad that it's 80 where I'm at, but you know. No, just kidding. But it is actually 80. It is actually 80. But anyway, hey, listen, let me give some information out. Listen, if you're listening to the podcast and you're enjoying what you're hearing from time to time, as you check us out here on Retirement Elevated, make sure that you check them out online, elevatemyretirement.com. That's elevatemyretirement.com. Maybe you found this through an iTunes link or something like that. You can listen to the podcast on retirementelevatedpodcast.com. You can share it through iTunes and Stitcher and a various number of other ways. And you can also just let people know that, hey, this is some interesting stuff. You should check this out. And if you need to talk with Sean, it's 855-50-RETIRE. That's 855-50-RETIRE, or our local number is 801-639-0095, 801-639-0095, serving here in the Salt Lake City area. So let's talk about, I want to kind of hit 7 reasons today, Sean, that maybe people need more than just a robo-advisor. You know, these robo-advisors, people have been seeing this technology is out there, these investing platforms where it's all computer-generated algorithms, things like that. And there's become kind of a conversation in a number of different ways, but people say, well, do I even need an actual financial representative? And I want to go through some reasons why you might.
Oh, perfect. I mean, I think this is a great topic because you see, without fail, Betterment is one of the top robo-advisors out there. And their claim to fame is that they're super low cost, really efficient investments, but that's it.
Yeah, okay. All right.
There's no other planning that comes with it. It's, hey, you can invest with us, and you're going to save more so than you would in, we'll say, the normal broker relationship. But that's all they do is they invest money. And there's really no thought or planning put into it.
Yeah, when you're talking about retirement, man, it's all about the planning, especially at retirement stage. It's definitely more than just investments at this point. Obviously, in the accumulation side, and even in retirement, don't get me wrong, investments are still important because you got to keep up with and outpace inflation. But let's talk about a few of these. Reasons number one why you might want to have an actual person is an actual person will treat you like a person and not just an account number, right?
Yeah, I mean, you go in and you sign up for a robo account or an online account, whatever it may be. It's super easy. It's really simple to go in and create an account to move money in. And then you, the individual, you pick the investment strategy. So they'll give you, maybe a platform that you can invest on, whether it's I'm a conservative person or a moderate person or
age, risk tolerance, all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. What is your fluctuation or what is your risk tolerance? But there's really no thought on the front end from a planning perspective. And so when you look at this being treated as a number, that's exactly what it is. Now, from a planning perspective, you need to be at the center of everything. You need to be at the center of the process, of the plan design, of even the investment strategies. You really can't just look at it as a numbers and savings game where I'm just going to get the most efficient strategy or platform with no real game plan behind that.
So here's reason number 2, and I want to kind of elaborate on this one for a second. Having an actual advisor, they're going to keep you involved in the investment decisions. And one of the things about the whole robo thing, to me anyway, and this is just my opinion, but it's for people, I assume, who like the hands-off approach. And there's a lot of people who don't like to deal face-to-face with other folks, and I get that. But when it comes to your retirement money, I don't get that part. Whether you like people or don't like people or whatever your thing is, this is like the most critical time in your life, and just not having someone to talk to me seems scary. I would want to be involved and see people face to face.
Well, and you could plan a number of ways, right? And on my last podcast, I talked about finding the right advisor that's best for you, not closest to you or the easiest to get to.
Same point, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so when you look at it, you say, all right, what do I need from a planning perspective? What am I looking to accomplish? How involved do I want to be? That all takes time, energy, and effort, right? You've got to put some legwork in and really build a plan and make sure that you're looking out for all the obstacles out there. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Exactly.
And what I mean by that is you could not have a plan and you could just invest and you could just, put money away. But what happens when you get punched in the face? Where recently we had a 1,300 point correction in the market. And if we don't have clarity and we don't have a real clear plan, we're going to be a little bit uncertain, and we're going to be really concerned when it comes to these market corrections and when it comes to the volatility, because we don't know how our plan's going to come out of it.
Well, okay, so you mentioned the market turned down, the 1,300 points. At the time of this podcast taping, Sean, that was just like 3 days ago, I think, 3 or 4 days ago. So we'll just kind of let people know that as they're listening to it. So I would think another piece to consider when it comes to these kind of robo things is when that happens, people get nervous, right? Did you guys get a lot of phone calls from clients? I bet you didn't.
No, we were talking about it the morning after the second pull down, and I asked our team, I said, how many calls have we gotten? And it was overwhelmingly, we got 0 calls. And not one of the families that we represent called our office concerned about this little market correction. And there's a couple of reasons for that. It's not that we didn't see some losses, because we did.
Sure.
But every single family that we work with has a clearly defined retirement income plan, which allows them the comfort to wade through some of these storms. They know exactly how their investments are structured. They know where their pitfalls are, where they're not, why we're doing and making the decisions that we're making. But more importantly, they can see in live time a probability of success in their plan. So if the market pulls back, great, they just log in. Do I still have a high probability of success? If I do, perfect. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. I mean, they have a plan. They know that they've gotten the plan in place through going through the process with you and the team. And you didn't get calls because people were not, I don't want to say they weren't concerned, because I'm sure that they probably maybe had some concerns, but they didn't have that panic or that fear factor that people do. And one of the things I've noticed with these robo type situations is back in February when we had that big drop, and then of course this one, it's hard to get through to these companies. There was even the one, I think back in February, one of those sites just shut down completely because of the overload. Mm-hmm. So again, another reason to maybe consider having an actual person is having that coach, that guide right there. That's reason number 3, and I kind of went the long way around the bush to get there, but I think that was a good point, is that when you have someone there you can talk to that's right there for you to discuss with, sometimes that's not always the case with the Robo-Advisor. So let me go to number 4 here, Sean. The 4th reason why you might want to have an actual person is they're going to make sure that the financial strategies keep up with your life. When you know your clients like you do, you understand their family dynamic, all that stuff, and as their life changes, you're right there and understanding it and involved with it, right?
Right. So I look at those target funds, and they're widely used. Fidelity,
Sure.
Vanguard, JP Morgan. In every 401k, there's a target fund, which, to be honest, it's not a bad thing, because those funds, they start to become more conservative as you get older. But when you start to look at making sure your financial strategies keep up with your life and making sure that the purpose of your money is in line with what your life is, things change in an instant. I mean, if we go back to January, and if we just said, hey, we're just going to place money in a Robo-Advisor and we're going to pull income out, well, February and March, that was a bad place to pull income from.
Yeah, for sure.
You got to have some strategy from that. But then, life happens. What if there's that once in a lifetime trip, that opportunity that comes up, or you need to replace a roof, or you need to buy a new car, or one of life's curveballs gets thrown at you. How do you ensure that your plan or your strategy is moving with that? We've got to have some pieces put in place, and we've got to have some, we'll call them out clauses, where if we needed to get to some cash, you need to be able to do that quickly, efficiently, and at low cost, even if the markets are corrected. So you have to have some planning behind that, where in a lot of cases that just doesn't happen in the robo world. There's no planning.
Yeah, and the robo-advisors don't know if you're, got a new grandchild, and if you want to buy a summer home or whatever, right? If all of a sudden that becomes an idea, and not to say that you couldn't go, I guess, and put that information in, but I guess my point is, okay, so if you're sitting there, you're listening to the podcast, you're like, we've been really talking about getting a summer home, let's say. And you know what? I'm going to call up Sean and talk to him about it and see if that's going to possibly work within our plan. That's something you can get done. I don't see that being nearly as effective or as easy to accomplish with the robo-advisors.
No, not at all. I mean, the choice out there is usually a simplified planning tool that they've got on their website that shows you put in your Social Security, your pensions, your assets, and they tell you how much income you can have.
Yeah, pretty much, right.
Yeah.
Customer service is pretty much nil, right? So, and that's kind of reason 5. A lot of times customer service, it's like a help forum where there's lots of other people asking questions and you're kind of bouncing things back and forth. There may be someone actually assigned to your account, but a lot of times there's just hundreds of people that they have to service. So customer service to me is another place where it goes a long way. You and your team, you work with your clients, you're right there to help them out with a lot of different things. If you're not available, you have other ways for them to get some help, right?
Yeah. Here we've got 3 full-time advisors that know the ins and outs of the plans that we work on, because there's a lot of unknown. And I tasked our team with this about a week and a half ago. I said, guys, what happens if one of us are gone? Primarily, what happens if I go down? I don't want to get in a car accident. I don't want something bad to happen.
Don't jinx yourself. Make sure you knock on wood, right? Yeah.
No kidding, right? And I said, well, what happens if something happens to one of us? And the overwhelming response was, you know what? We're going to be okay. And the reason that we're going to be okay is, Justin can step in for me, Chris can step in for Justin, I can step in for Justin, and vice versa. We're all working in a team atmosphere now where the families that we work with, they know that if they need to call in, they need to get some help, they need to tweak their plan, change their plan, they can call and we can get it done within the same day. That's very rare in today's day and age, and especially in our industry where we've got a team that's built around serving our clients first, and the investments come in secondarily.
Yeah. Well, you know what? And for a lot of people, I think that becomes a huge piece of it because, let's be honest, in our society, we have lost so much face-to-face stuff. Those little things that are attached to our hands and hips on a daily basis have taken over our lives, and it's nice to be able to have that aspect, and especially when you're talking about your retirement. Well, this is Retirement Elevated Podcast with Sean Lee, managing partner at Elevated Retirement Group, serving in Salt Lake City area from their office in Sandy. 855-50-RETIRE if you want to call and talk with them. 855-50-RETIRE. If you want to share this podcast, please do so. If you know someone who might benefit from some of this information, feel free to direct them to retirementelevatedpodcast.com. That's retirementelevatedpodcast.com. And we got 2 more here, Sean. We're going to wrap up the podcast with the last 2 reasons why you might want to consider a real person versus the robo-advisors. Number 6, getting help with the tax-efficient investing strategies and the insurance matters. With the robo-advisors, the platforms are only designed to handle the portfolio management, as you mentioned. They're not really going to help you out with the tax-efficient strategies and the insurance side, and that's a huge portion of the retirement planning process.
Yeah, in my opinion, taxes will make or break your plan.
Exactly.
Hands down. We've talked about this on the podcast previously. When you can build in a really tax-efficient withdrawal strategy and you can incorporate your different types of accounts and you can withdraw money from those accounts strategically, you can make a really efficient plan. And I'll give you an example. I just finished up a plan with a newer client that just came over to work with us. And we went through and we looked at what her cumulative tax was going to be without any withdrawal strategies, anything. And over a 25-year period from 65 to 90, she was going to pay about $850,000 in total taxes. That's a chunk of cash. Now, what we did is that through our planning process, we looked and she had some Roth money, she had some after-tax money, and then she had IRA money, and we efficiently positioned those assets to reduce on her taxation now, smooth out her tax rate over that 25-year period. But the cool thing was we took her from $852,000 of cumulative taxes over that 25-year period to $720,000 of cumulative tax.
Wow.
$120,000 savings just by putting in some planning. And now that money doesn't go to the government, it goes to her beneficiaries.
Wow. Yeah. So a big difference, right?
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah. And you're just not getting that information. You're just not getting that service from the Robo-Advisor side. And granted, again, don't get me wrong, and Sean said as we started this, if what you're after is just kind of some of that investment side of it, then maybe there's a potential, but I still feel as though that having a real person is going to really ultimately come down to the needs. And for retirees and pre-retirees, I think that real person, to me, it usually trumps that whole non-face-to-face thing. And that's basically, we'll finish off with reason number 7 here, Sean. Life is more than just about investing. When you're dealing with an actual person, when you work with your clients, you're preparing and helping them through all the different milestones, the house, the debt, the college education for kids or grandkids, the bucket list, the vacation items, all the things that you've kind of talked about here, and retirement as well. They all roll in together, and you're just not getting that from the robo side.
No, when it comes to your life, our job as an advisor is to marry your goals, beliefs, values, and desires with the financial resources. That's really all it is. The financial resources, that's just a math problem. But
that's the tool, right?
Yeah. This is what your sources of income are, this is what your resources are, and this is what you need. I know it sounds easy, but it's really just a math problem. But once you can marry up that math problem with what your values are and your goals and your beliefs are, that's when you start to gain clarity, and that's when you start to have more freedom to do the things that you want to do. We just sent a family. Well, we didn't send them. They just moved to Oklahoma. They just had their first grandchild. They packed up from Utah and said, hey, we want to be close to our grandson.
So did they relocate, or did they go for like an extended vacation? Oh, they relocated.
No,
okay.
They sold their home out here in the mountains and went to Oklahoma, built a home. We just finalized their plan on they want to put a pool in their backyard. And so it was one of those like curveball things that we didn't expect them to move. And we had to adjust the plan, tweak the plan, and then, oh, by the way, Sean, we want to spend some money now and put a pool in. How is our plan going to react? And
Gotcha.
you just can't get that with the Robo-Advisor
No, exactly.
relationship.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. And also, think about the anonymity of the Robo-Advisor. You can be anywhere and work with them, but you can do the same thing with, as you just illustrated, with working with your own clients, right? If you have someone face-to-face, I know we spend a lot of time talking about that here on the podcast, that you can't get that with a Robo-Advisor, but you forged that relationship with these clients who've now relocated, but they're still your clients.
Yeah. With the way technology is today, people should not be looking for the closest advisor or the easiest advisor to go see. They should be looking for the right advisor.
That's a great way to put it. That's a fantastic way to finish off our podcast here. Looking for the right advisor, finding the right advisor is really what's going to be important. We've been discussing, 7 reasons why a real advisor is maybe better than a robo here on the podcast with Sean Lee. This has been Retirement Elevated. We appreciate your time. Sean, as always, thanks for talking with me and having me on here, and look forward to doing it again.
Yeah, till next time. We'll talk to you soon.
That's right. Till next time. Hey, don't forget, share this on iTunes. Check it out online at retirementelevatedpodcast.com. Find Sean and the team at their own website for the company at elevatemyretirement.com, or just give them a jingle. 855-50-RETIRE, 855-50-RETIRE. We'll catch you next time here on Retirement Elevated.
Investment advisory services offered through Elevated Capital Advisors, LLC, and SEC